Did you ever feel an emotional boost while playing video games after hearing the game music? Imagine you log into the game after a long day of work or study, and suddenly you hear.
ウマ娘プリティダービー
Did you feel the energetic energy flowing in you? Now imagine the game without the opening music. How boring is it, right? That is one of the factors that make music so important for a video game. But it is sometimes underrated by the player, commonly emphasizing good graphics more. So today, let's dive into the effect of background music and soundtrack on video games. As I mentioned before, music manipulates emotions and draws player into the game. It acts like sort of like a bridge between the players and the virtual world of video games. Research done on famous games like Mario shows that only using a precise and controlled combination of music, the composer can make the entrance of Mario more energetic and more rhythmic, in which it brightens the mood of players. Another notable example is Minecraft, one of the greatest video games of all time. The soundtrack created by C418 calms our mind and leads us immersed into the world of the games. It's like you're leaving behind all the fatigue of the real world to explore Minecraft. Now, let's think of this. When you play a video game, then suddenly you hear the music and recognize the genre, the inspiration, or the game itself. That is when music defines the game's identities and soul. An interesting example I want to show you is Genshin Impact. The game consists of many fictional nations that are inspired by the real world, so there's a difference in instruments and styles used for different nations, which which lead to them having different soundtracks that upon hearing you can instantly recognize the real world inspiration of them. Take Inazuma, a nation inspired by Japan, and Fontaine, a nation inspired by France, for example. You can hear the difference as they use shamisen, an instrument common in Japan's old music and theater plays, along with wind whistle for the Inazuma theme. While on Fontaine, they added a more orchestra-like soundtrack, like the sound they use in France theater plays. A video game, of course, must consider player action and control. Surprisingly, music also helps with that. Soundtrack and music used in video games, especially intense action games, can assist gameplay and concentration of a player. Commonly in those games, sound can be made when there's a danger nearby, or to signal players into performing specific actions like parry or dodge. One of my favorite examples is Zenless Zone Zero. This is a combat action game that requires intense dodging and parrying attacks. Apart from visual signal, the games also provide a sound signal on when to block and dodge the attack from the enemy, in which it helps a lot for the game mechanic and for beginners to get used to the gameplay. Finally, if you look at some costs to produce some AAA games, which are the most expensive of them all, music and soundtrack is one of the major contribution of it. A quick example. This is Hans Zimmer. You have probably known him for Interstellar or Inception. He's also created a video game soundtrack for a popular game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. The original cost to produce the game was around $14 million. Some experts conclude that it takes around $5 million minimum to hire Hans Zimmer to compose a AAA game soundtrack. That is more than 10% of the cost for only soundtrack. Some might say it's not that big, but remember, the remaining 90% is spread over graphics, coding, marketing, etc. This shows that music and soundtrack are also as dedicated as graphic by the company, although commonly not as much. So to conclude, nowadays most people only tend to prioritize what they see first more than what they hear. This is both true in real life and in this current situation. However, for my analysis, I think that video game music should be treated and recognized as equal as graphic from the benefit it brought for the gaming experience. That is the end of my video. Thank you for listening.